It might be around when I started learning about decision making, I had to practice using the tool. So I interviewed my girlfriend, who was basically trying to decide. She was, I think, living with her parents at the time. So her options were, this is years ago, she was either continuing to live with her parents, and certainly there was consequences and pros and cons for her parents and herself around doing that, so she'd save money, but etc. Her other option was she'd move into an apartment, and there was pros and cons around that. And the third option was around, did she buy a house? So this can be around any types of decisions. And so the more options, the more difficult it is. The trade-off. So what is the benefit versus the harm, or the pros and the cons, right? Sometimes it's harm, but sometimes it's just a consequence. So what are the trade-offs in a decision? Sometimes it's around, what's the regret? What might people regret? So what is the benefit of the other decision that I didn't get? And so that makes sometimes things difficult. The time you have to make a decision. So if you have to make a decision quicker, that's more difficult than if you have time to ponder over things. And other things are personal things, such as the age of the person, their culture, side effects of prior treatment. So just their past experience is certainly things that make a decision difficult. There's other things that make a decision difficult that you can change. So the ones I've just kind of mentioned, those are really things that you really can't change. However, there are certain things that we can change to make the decision easier. And so having information around options is certainly things, so having more information is something that helps make the decision. Being clear about what's important to you as a person and to you, that can be you as an individual or you as a family. And then getting support or recognizing that you're getting pressure is also something that will help make the decision easier. And I'm saying easier, not necessarily easy. So if you switch to the next slide, so as patients, what are some of the things that they can do to make the decision easier? How can they get help? So one is to speak with their doctor. Another is to use...
And by that, Lynn, do you mean your oncologist?
Yes. Or it can actually be your family physician.
Okay.
Okay? So sometimes, and I'll go over some of that with using the decision aid in a bit. Mm-hmm. And if I don't come back to that, remind me to do so. And another way is to get help from either a nurse or a social worker over the phone. Okay? And it'll become clearer as we go through the decision aid after. If you switch to the next slide, what I've got there is a website. And it's the Ottawa Health Research Institute's website, and they have a section specifically on decision aids. So Annette O'Connor, she's actually just retired, has done a lot of research, and I think she was kind of the lead, and now there's a big research unit looking around patient decision-making, and there's other specialists around the world who are looking at patient decision-making. So one of the things that they have on their website is under the A to Z inventory. People can click on there, and you can have access to a whole bunch of decision aids that have been developed around the world. So they're not necessarily, I'm not saying that all decision aids that have been developed are listed there, but there's a lot of them that are there. So if this team is aware of them, the other thing that they do is they actually evaluate the decision aid. So when you click on that, what you have access to is either an inventory, and you can search by alphabetical order, or you can put in the term that you're looking for or the type of decision you're looking for, and it'll tell you what they have. And when you click on a specific decision aid, it has an evaluation, and it'll tell you what's the strength of this decision aid versus its weaknesses. So that is also useful. The next tab underneath is Ottawa Personal Decision Guide, and I'll talk more about that afterwards. So if you flip to the next slide, I put in ovarian cancer, and when I clicked on the A to Z, just to see what would come out. And so this is the list of decision aids, if you put that in. So a lot focused on genetic testing. So breast and ovarian cancer, there's 3 decision aids that kind of cover that decision. And under ovarian cancer, there's a decision aid around whether or not people want to have their ovaries removed to prevent the risk of ovarian cancer. So if we skip to the next slide, if you click Ottawa Personal Decision Guide, this is the screen that comes up. And there's 4 different decision guides listed there. These 4 guides are generic. So it means it's a decision aid, but not linked to any decision whatsoever. So that's a good thing. So you've got a tool that you can use for anything you're having to make a decision about. So if you skip to the next slide, what I'd like for us to kind of do now is to use the decision, one of the decision guides that I've picked out, and work through a decision. So I have one prepared, but I can easily work through another decision. So what do you guys want to do? I had prepared, maybe it helps if I tell you which one I had prepared. So I had prepared deciding about genetic testing. And so we can, I think it helps to kind of work through a specific decision, but as we go through it, I can speak about other decisions at the same time.
That's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. So if you skip to the next slide, so what I've done is I basically just took snapshots of each section in the decision aid, because if I actually showed, it's a 2-page document, but if I kind of had the shot of the whole page, it would be too small for you guys to see anything. And the decision guide that I'm kind of using in the example right now is the Ottawa Family Decision Guide. All the elements in each of the guides is very much the same. The only thing is that how things are laid out are different. And so feel free to look at them and pick the one you want. There's one decision guide that's in there that you can actually fill and save it online and then come back to it later. The others are more like PDFs that you would print the paper and use it on paper. And actually, they actually have an application for difficult decisions on Facebook. And so people who are, I don't know if you guys are very on Facebook or not, but anyhow, the application is you can go on Facebook, complete the decision guide, and then you send it to your friends on Facebook, and then they provide you with advice as to what they think you should do. So for some of our patients who are up on Facebook and want to use that, then that's the new technology that they've got there. All right, so what's the decision? So let's use this decision about genetic testing. And just to put us into a context, let's say we'll pretend that my name is Lynn and that I'm 52 years old and I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. I have an aunt and a cousin who were diagnosed with breast cancer on my father's side of the family. I have 2 sons and a daughter, and my sons have grandchildren, and so both grandsons and granddaughters, and my daughter doesn't have any kids yet. And then I have siblings as well of my own. So that kind of puts a context to my situation. So my decision is about whether or not I want to pursue genetic testing. So that's what decision do you face? The next question I have to think about is, what is your reason for making this decision? So I guess I'm thinking about this because I want to know what my risks might be of, I know that breast and ovarian cancer are kind of linked together, so I'm wondering whether or not, what are my risks of getting breast cancer? But I mostly want to know about what my family's risk is. So that's why I'm looking at this. And then when do I need to make this decision? Well, I don't need to make this decision now because I don't have any much pressure. And then how far along am I in making my decision? Well, I guess I'm still learning more about what my options are. And I don't know much about genetic testing and all that stuff, so that's where I'm at. And then I'm leaning towards getting tested because I think that that might be a good idea. Any questions around this first step, around clarifying the decision?
No, I don't.
Okay, and are you seeing how that might be kind of helpful for you?
Yes.
Okay.